Hi, and welcome to Knit All the Things. My name is Lauryl. I'm also known as West Maven on Instagram, Ravelry, and here. If you're new, this is a space where I talk about all the things I'm knitting, all the things I want to knit, all things yarn, just all the things. And if you're returning, welcome back, Knitting Bestie. I can't wait to catch up with you. In this week's episode, I'm going to share my latest sweater cast on, and I think you might be surprised what I chose. I am also going to share some finished knitted accessories, and I will review the latest sock knitting book, The Sock Project by Summerlee. So grab your knitting, get cozy, and let's go. All right, let's talk about what I'm wearing. I am wearing the Wisp tank, a pattern by Caitlin Hunter. I knit this using Surrey Ash Lace by Treehouse Knits. She currently does have a newer Surrey base, but they're both delightful. Her newer base has more yardage, so that is a great bonus. But this pattern was intended initially to be a lightweight tank top for, I think, transitional seasons. I personally don't like to wear a lot of tank tops, especially probably not this style that would have so much skin showing. For just how I feel, I don't typically wear a lot of like skin bearing items. I think you can be very cute and sexy with just a little bit more covered. But I really still liked this pattern a lot, and I thought I could style it making it more of a vest than a tank. So that's how I chose to wear this one. It has a V-neck in the front and the back, and how it is knit is you knit it bottom up, then you split and knit each section, and then you bind off. So I'll show you the back. It's just kind of a mirrored, I think mine, because I had some issues with my stitch count a couple of times. This is a V in both the front and the back, and I had some issues with my stitch count, and so I think one of the sides ended up with like 2 more stitches or something like that, and so I think one is slightly longer, but in the pattern I believe they are the same. So I really like how this turned out. I think it adds a nice little layer. Right now I'm in Portland, Oregon, and it is like 50-60 degrees outside, and which is, I'll put the Celsius because I never remember. It's warm. It's a warm day, so wearing a tank or this kind of vest tank, if you will, over a t-shirt works perfectly for the weather. Things I might do differently next time, I don't know. I really like how this turned out. You use 2 strands of the Surrey lace, and again I use Treehouse Knits. I think this is a one-of-a-kind color because every so often she does a mystery sale, and this just happened to be 2 of the same blue, if you will, in it, and I really liked how this turned out. And her dyeing is so consistent that marling the 2, holding the 2 together, you don't really see any color variation at all. And so, yeah, I really like it a lot. And I have considered making another one and maybe just doing it in like a DK weight, or instead of having the 2 strands, just do like 1 worsted or however it is, like just kind of make it a more solid piece. I think that would make it slightly less warm. So maybe it's more of a layer that's more stylish but not adding so much warmth. But yeah, I really like it a lot. I think at first when I saw the pattern come out, I hadn't intended on knitting it, mostly because I wasn't sure how I would wear it until I thought about it a little bit more. And the kind of nice thing about this is mine is quite oversized, or it has a lot of positive ease. This is actually the second time I knit this because the first time I made a larger size and it was just too much fabric. But you actually get quite a bit of garment from the amount of yarn needed. I think I used less than 2 skeins of the Surrey for this, and granted this is a size I think 2 in the end, but I think I could have made it work with a size 3. But either way, you don't actually need that much yarn because half of it is not a lot of like just the straps. So you don't have as big of a garment, so you're obviously not needing as much yarn, which I think is one of the nicer things about the spring summer knits, is that you can get more garment for less yarn, if you will. Okay, so that's what I'm wearing, the Wisp tank by Caitlin Hunter. For those of you new, my dogs are always in the room with me, and so if you hear something, that's probably what you're hearing. Okay, so let's talk about some of the things that I finished since the last time. I'm gonna start with one that I feel like has taken me forever. So I had wanted to knit my son a hat, and I was between the morning walk hat and the Stockholm hat, and I ended up doing the Stockholm hat by Petite Knits Decreases. And this yarn is Wensleydale by Laerke, and it is a blend of, I think, Wensleydale, Falkland Merino, and maybe Corriedale. I'm not sure the third one, but it is a really, really nice yarn to work with. One of my concerns was that in the pattern she had said to get a piece of like elastic thread for the edge, because as you can see, this one's a little bit wavy. When he is wearing it, this is for my son, you can't see, like it doesn't actually show that it's wavy at all. And I probably am gonna mess up my hair, but I could probably like wear it. So it doesn't show that it's wavy at all. But to kind of make it keep its shape when you're not wearing it, you can put a string of elastic to kind of combat that. What I did and what I thought would work, but I think it doesn't work as well as I thought. I had gone down a needle size for like 3 inches of the pattern, and then I switched to the pattern needle, and then I finished the hat. I thought that might keep its shape along the brim a little bit better, but it didn't really. However, when I finished this hat, it was really, really tight for my son, and I was worried that, oh great, I just kind of made a hat that he's not gonna be able to wear. But I did block it, and I think I just blocked it a little bit too much. So I think what I will do is block it again and kind of like reintroduce the fabric to being a little bit less open, and I think that will help quite a bit. And I probably will put an elastic because that will bother me, but I don't think it would bother him. So that's the Stockholm hat by Petite Knit using Wensleydale yarn, and this is the colorway Lush. And just for an example, I believe the Stockholm hat really only has one size that you cast on, so you only have so many amount of stitches, but then she has instructions if you want to make it a little bit longer. So that's how I think she kind of changes the size. I would say, I mean, this is how much I have left, which is a good amount. I think I probably, if I did this again, I really love this yarn a lot. I think a superwash may work just a tiny bit better because it might keep its shape just a little, keep its shape in a way a little bit more because of the nylon. But again, I really like how this turned out. I think it'll get a lot of wear. Once it's blocked, the fabric is really, really soft, and you can even see like a little bit of a halo, or I hope that you can see a little bit of a halo on this. And it's just a really, really nice yarn. I love it, and my kids loved it so much that my other son picked a different color, and I'll show you his hat in a minute. But I wanted to also say, so I've been saying that this hat is much like the Manhattan hat, which I have made also, and there is a difference, which I won't give away the pattern, but it does have to do with the crown. So while they do have a similar crown, this one gives a little bit more of a pointed round finish, where the Manhattan hat has a little bit more of a flat, more like that finish. So it is just the slightest bit different. I mean, they are not the same pattern. They do have some differences, but I feel like the finished hat looks similar. And so that is one thing that I noticed once I was finished with both, and then reflecting back on them, this one does seem to have a little bit more of a kind of pointed finish, where the other one has a little bit more of a flat finish. And yeah, so that is the Stockholm hat by Petite Knit using Wensleydale in Lush by Laerke. So after I did this, when you have more than one child, if you make one thing, then the other one wants something also. So a while back I had made this hat for my oldest. This was the the Mini Take Heart hat. So this is the pattern Mini Take Heart by Fiona Alice, and it is found, you might be able to get it as a single pattern now, but it was a pattern that was featured in, I think, 2 places. I think she has a Take Heart collection, so you might be able to find it in that, but this was featured in the Mini Pom book, which was a collection of patterns for kids based on patterns that Pom Publishing, so sad they're gone, had published. So this one was a knit that I did for my oldest, and he really wanted this hat, I think because of the pom-pom on the top. So my youngest wants the same hat or the same pom-pom. I'm pretty sure. Like, I think it's a really cute hat with the cables and everything, but part of me wonders if they could care less and they just want like the pom-pom on top, because he reiterated many times, like, but it has the pom-pom, right? This is what I'm getting. So I think it's cute both ways, but the pom-pom certainly helps. I will say with pom-poms, I did a lot of research because I've made several and had several kind of disintegrate on me over time. This one has lasted a very long time, and I will tell you my secret. I would tell you to, when you go to make the pom-pom, do it however you like to make them, but when you go to secure it, rather than using yarn to secure it, like tying all the, like you wrap it a bunch of times and then you cut it and then you have to tie it so that all the pieces don't fall apart. When you're doing that tying, use waxed cotton thread, and it has a much better hold, and I have found that to be the like secret to making a pom-pom that does not fall apart. So with that being said, prepare your eyes. This is the color Royal Blue by Laerke. This is also the Wensleydale yarn, and I have gotten quite a bit of this hat done. I've had some sick kids this week, and so I really had like this much done at the beginning of the week, and I've knit quite a bit of this hat in the last couple of days. I have, I think, 2 more pattern repeats, and then I can start doing decreases. So to me, I feel like it's at least 1/3 of the way done, and I do think this hat will get a lot of wear. I think it's so fun, and I really, really love the cable pattern. It has the little heart. So I'll show you the other one that I finished, because I think you can see the cables a little bit better on this one. This one was knit in Spun Right Round. I think the color was Midnight Skies, and it's her DK. And it was, I believe, a superwash DK, I'm pretty sure. This one, again, is the Wensleydale in the color Royal Blue. And this one, I think I won't have the same problem, if you will, as I did with the Stockholm hat, because this has a twisted rib. And so I think that will give it enough structure where I won't have to worry about it stretching out as much. So we'll see. But that is what I have been working on a lot lately, and I'm really excited to get it done because I want it done before it gets like way too hot here. But I think right now, like early mornings, a hat's still appropriate for what that we're having. So that again is the Mini Take Heart by Fiona Alice, and all of the information will be in the description below. So I do have a half-finished sock. So I finished the second sock of my cozy slouchy socks. This pattern is my pattern, and it is a cuff down sock, and you use a fuzzy yarn or a lace weight yarn to create this slouch. And I probably will pop in a picture of them being worn because I always think that's a little bit better. I used Teal Torch Knits color Neon Melon, and then Floro Morganite and Kumo by La Bien-Aimée on the top. I feel like this is almost a La Bien-Aimée episode, just joking. But I really like how these turned out. This one I did 7 repeats. I've done some with 5, I've done some with 3, I think I did one with 6. I just kind of play around with however long I'm feeling like making the repeats. I do have quite a bit of yarn left. This pair is a size small, and it used 44 grams of the fingering weight, and I believe, so it used 44 grams of the fingering weight yarn, the teal torch knits, and 22 grams of the Kumo. So this is a great pattern if you have any leftovers to use for the mohair or suri or whatever you choose to use. So I think that I could get another pair out of this yarn, probably the same size, which I think is nice. You could make one pair for you, one for your BFF. Okay, speaking of these socks, which I won't take up a lot of time, if you missed my last episode, I will link it below, and I'll also put a little thing up here, but it talks all about these socks in very, very great detail. I share all the samples that I have made, and so you can get all the information about them there. But what I wanted to say is next week we're going to be doing a Zoom meetup for a kickoff to a knit along. This is going to be just an easy going knit along, if you will. I will share with you my 2 kind of options of what I think I'll cast on next. I'm really leaning this way, partially because I have already wound up this yarn. This is King Fiber yarn and their sock, and I don't know the colorway off the top of my head. Classic sock in the colorway Nest. It's a really pretty kind of burnt orange with blues and whites and creams in it. And then I would do the mohair, willow lace, and antique vase by Treehouse Knits would be my combo. Or my secondary one would be Woolen Vine Yarns in her footsie base, dampness, and Treehouse Knits Stranger Strings and Suri Ash Lace. So I think either one would turn out beautiful, and I really do think I'll probably make both at some point, but these are my like top contenders right now for that. So if you're interested in being included in the knit along, or you want to attend the Zoom, I will post a community post on YouTube with that information prior to it starting, and on the day of I will put like the link and everything there. So that would be one way to find it. Also, if you're following me on Instagram, I'll be posting it there as well. So those are 2 places. Right now I'm thinking it's probably going to be the 2nd of March, sometime in the morning, maybe around 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, but I will for sure post everywhere and let you know the exact times for that. So that is the Cozy Slouchy Sock by me, and I'll post all of that below if you're interested in that pattern. Okay, so that's one of the things I finished. The hat and that, and then I received in the mail the sock project book. Since we're talking about socks, let's go into the sock project. This is a book by Summer Lee, and if you ask me, I think she has such an easy way of learning to knit socks. She makes it very approachable and fun. I feel like she makes it so easy to understand. Her patterns are like delightful. So in this book, there are 25 patterns and 5 different heels. She has toe up socks, she has cuff down socks, and then she has tips for sizing and fit. And she really has like socks for everyone. I really think that if you like colorwork socks, if you've never done colorwork socks, she holds your hand through that. She has color block socks, stripes, plain, vanilla, all the different ones, and she has tips and tricks along the way. And I really, really thought this was an amazing book. The pictures are really, really cute. I'm trying to carefully show some of them without showing the patterns, but she has just such a lovely, lovely, lovely style of, like, look at these colorwork socks. They're so cute. So I feel like this is totally worth it. You can find this book on, I think, everywhere socks books are sold. But I do think it's a pre-order at the moment because I think they had sold out. So pre-order it. And I'm sure Summerlee has information on her website as well. She also has a YouTube channel, which I'm sure she will post when she has them back in stock or when they're back in stock. So go check it out. It's really worth it. I really, really think if you're interested in learning how to knit socks, or if you have knit socks for a really long time, there's kind of something for everyone in this. So go check it out. I really, really cannot say enough about this book. The moment you've all been waiting for. I was taking a break from knitting sweaters because I just needed a break. And when I did that, I was able to give myself a little bit of a reset. I have had this book for a very long time, and I've been wanting to knit something out of it for a very long time. It is the Close Knit book by Laerke Bagger. If I said that wrong, I'm really sorry, but I did Google it. So I think it's Laerke. She has just the coolest style of all time. This book has 15 patterns. I am not gonna do a review of this right now, but maybe after I've finished knitting the book, or knitting the sweater, I will. I am kind of following the pattern for the No Limits sweater. And there's a bunch of different things you can do. You can do turtleneck, crew neck. She has short row shaping that if you are a new sweater knitter and feel like that's a little bit intimidating, you can skip that part. There's a lot of different ways to knit this sweater. So I have started, and I did a couple of things. I started the sweater, and then because the way that she has you start, you pick up and knit the finishing touches, like the hem. It's knit bottom up, but you don't actually have the hem first. If you're doing the like quote unquote advanced knitted version, if you're knitting it, I think the beginner knit one has you cast on and do the ribbing and then knit the sweater. But I did the other way around. So you cast on and you do short rows, and then you join in the round, and then you start knitting in the round. And mine, what I think I'm trying to do, and I say what I think I'm trying to do because I'm not really planning this out so well. I would like, this is the back and this is the front. I would like to have a fade, I think. So go from the bottom black to I'm not sure what color, and I'll show you why in a minute. But essentially you hold several strands of yarn together, and in this one I have started to introduce red or like a maroon and silvers and whites in just like a mohair or a sparkle yarn. And I started with a really black yarn and have gone into more of a charcoal color. So I have a huge bag of leftovers. These were leftovers to begin with, but then I ended up frogging my pinguono, and when I did that I had like 3 or 4 strands of yarn going, and so that took me actually several days to kind of harvest that yarn. But now I have little bags of treasure. So this one in particular is like sparkle and mohairs and some random other ones. So that's like a little grab bag. Then I have like a grayish purple one going with some sparkle, a white and like a light color. And so I have all these different, I have more, but I have all these different bags. And I really am not sure what I'm doing. But when I had started, I did swatch, and I ended up needing to go, I think the pattern calls for a size 9 needle, and this is why swatching is important. This was my first swatch. It's tiny, so that's not gonna work, but it's really pretty. And then my second one, I think this was a size 9, this was a size 10 needle, US 10. So I'm knitting it on a size 11, which is kind of crazy to me, but that's what it is. So I finally got gauge. I do think this fabric is a lot nicer than the other two. It definitely has a little bit more drape, and I think it'll be more comfortable to wear. This sweater probably, I'm guessing, won't get worn this year, or not this part of the year, maybe the end of the year, because I think it will be rather warm. So I'm not in a huge rush to get this done, but I did start it. I do think it could be a very fast knit because the gauge is so large. It is 11 by 17, and really just grabbing random different, this one has, I think, white and a lavender, some blue, some gray, some black, some sparkle, some mohair. Like, it's like throw the kitchen sink at the sweater. So it's been fun to just kind of grab here and there yarn to work with. I do think I'm gonna have to come up with a little bit of a plan coming up because I will need to fade. I only have, believe it or not, so much scrap black yarn that I'm willing to use for this. So I'm thinking of pausing and doing part of the sleeves and then setting those back on hold, working on the body, and then picking up the sleeves and finishing them. Because I, in my head, want the black on the sleeves to go up to like here-ish, like just before my elbow, and then start fading. So I'm guessing that's what I will do with the sweater, I think. I really don't know. So I want to make sure I get my sleeves how I want them, and then I can go back to the body and figure it out. But I was having the hardest time picturing this without the hem on it. So I think I will let this be a little bit longer sweater. So I have quite a bit left to go. And I really think I'm gonna love it. I think the sparkle, especially because it's not the whole sweater, it's literally like a little bit here, a little bit there, is really fun to me. And I really, really like the red, the hints of red, because some of them are much brighter. Like for example here, where some are like kind of blended in. I really think I'm achieving a nice balance, at least for now. I'm hoping that will continue for the rest of this sweater. But yeah, that is where I'm at with this. And I'm trying to like consciously pull a little bit in certain areas and kind of make this like not, like I want the striping in the front to be similar to the back. I don't want there to be like heaviness anywhere with the colors. So I'm trying to be really mindful of where I'm putting yarn, which is use brain power in like a different way than I'm used to using it. Because normal patterns, or even when I've went off pattern, I have like a very solid plan on what I'm gonna do. And on this one, I just don't. But I think it's good for me. I think sometimes when we're so reliant on things, you kind of can get stuck. I was thinking this the other day when I was driving. Like, I know my way around where I live very well. I've lived here for a long time. I know all the roads, all the things. And it dawned on me the other day, I was like, oh, I always just like blindly turn on my GPS because it'll tell me like the fastest way to get somewhere. But I feel like then we're not using that part of our brain that just like knows where we are and knows how to get to wherever. Anyway, tangent. But I was thinking, like, same with knitting. Like, if I'm on autopilot with a pattern and I'm not introducing some new element that's going to keep my excitement for the project, I'm kind of like losing my mojo there. So this is, I think, an awesome project for that. And I'm hoping that, I don't know, part of me wants to like hurry and get it done, and part of me wants to like just enjoy the process and let it take as long as it takes. And I'm not sure if I said what size I was knitting. I'm knitting a size 2, which won't be super oversized on me, which I kind of consciously did. I noticed when I looked at the hashtag, the No Limit sweater, I really liked the, not fitted sweaters, but the ones that weren't like oversized. So I'm doing something a little different sizing wise with this as well. That's a little bit more out of my comfort zone. So we'll see how it turns out. I am considering, I'll talk about some more knits and then we'll switch gears. So I have been talking about this sweater for a really long time. This is the Pina Colada sweater by Laura Zucate, I think. And it was featured in issue 45 of Pom Pom magazine. And it is an intarsia sweater. You are holding one strand all the time, and then you're introducing the color work, if you will, with intarsia. And I swatched for this unsuccessfully. It did not turn out how I expected, and it wasn't the yarn, it's not the pattern, it was my understanding of how it should be knit. So I'm going to go back to the drawing board and try it again and see where I get from here, because it is a sweater that I have been dreaming about and thinking about and really wanting to cast on. I think it might be nice for this time of year because it is lighter weight. This is knit with a lace weight alpaca for the darker, and then a sport weight merino for the lattice design. And I think that it will make a nice like spring summer sweater. I'm hoping that I can do it. Here's an up close on the pattern itself, or like the stitch pattern. So I think I'm going to be swatching for that in the next little bit. I really hope that it's going to turn out how I have envisioned, and that might take over and may take some time away from the No Limit sweater. I'm not really sure. I'm not sure, guys, on how that's going to go. So that is all that I have been knitting, but I've been spinning a little bit. I gave myself a little kind of gift of a day of not necessarily no knitting. I think I might have knit a little bit, like a spinning day. And I finished this yarn. This was gifted to me. I had purchased some fiber from Art and Alchemy, but then they gifted me this extra braid. And so I used it as like trying to learn. So my first couple of spins were just like by feel and how I think it should be spun. This one I was trying to follow a technique with a video from Craftsy. So I was trying to understand like the proper way to draft. And so I was playing around with that. I was practicing like spinning across the braid instead of just like down a side and all kinds of things. So that's what I was working on with this. And part of the reason I'm talking about this is because Drea Renee Knits, or Andrea Mowry, is doing a Spin It to Knit It knit along. It's almost a whole year, and it's for her Traveler series. And I've been talking about wanting to spin yarn for the shawl. So that is my kind of end goal. This was to see if I could make my yarn thicker, because my first couple of attempts I've had very thin yarn, and that's not gonna work for that. This one I did, so this one is a 2-ply, and this, I don't know if I said it, but this is the color Cannabis from Art and Alchemy. And it has some really like light and dark greens and some golds, and I think it's just a really pretty color. It would not have been one I chose, but I actually really like it a lot now that I've spun it. Even in the braid, it didn't seem like intense color changes, but it certainly, once spun up, you can see like the golds and stuff, and I think the darker greens really show nicely. So I spun this a 2-ply. And then I had extra left over, so I chain plied this. And I really like how this turned out. And my kind of goal or attempt will be to spin a 3-ply combo spin with my fiber for the Traveler shawl. So let me know if you are going to be participating in her cal and what you're doing. She has it open so that if you don't spin and you just want to knit one of those items, do that. So I'm really excited to see everybody's. I've been really inspired watching people who have finished their shawls already, just like when she first released the pattern, and I'm really inspired to do that. I'm right now debating whether or not I'm going to use 4 braids or 6 braids. Because I want to do a 3-ply, I had kind of a way I was going to do it, but I think it might be easier if I just get 2 more braids to like round out what I have. Part of my hesitation with buying fiber is that for my yarn stash, for example, I have some things in there that I sometimes pull from, but some of it is stuff that I probably won't knit with, or at least it's not my taste right at the moment, because my tastes change up and down all the time, unless it's black yarn and it can stay. But I've noticed that because spinning takes so long, I don't want a bunch of fiber like hanging out and me having to then go, well, I guess that's what's in my stash, I'll just spin that. I would rather just be able to go and buy some and then spin it, because it's such a long process. And I know myself, and I know how I change my mind all the time, and what might be exciting right now, maybe bright colors, in the winter may not feel like I might want that like soft toned down colors. So because of that, I'm on the fence of whether I'm going to get a little bit more fiber to round it out. Right now I have fiber from Fat Cat's Knits, and I'm going to be using that for the shawl, and I'm trying to decide if I'm going to place 2 more colors in just to like round it out, and then I can easily 3-ply 3 and 3 and go. So that's where I'm at right now with that. And if you are spinning for this and you have any tips, please send them my way, because I really don't know what I'm doing. Help me out. Okay, so Art and Alchemy. And I think right now Art and Alchemy has put their shop online on hold because they're doing trunk shows around. So sign up for their newsletter on their website so that you can be updated once they reopen their shop. As far as things happening between now and then, I'm going to be swatching for the Pina Colada sweater, and then meeting up with you guys on Zoom on next Saturday for the start of the knit along for the Cozy Slouchy socks. So let's make the hashtag Cozy Slouchy Socks Cal24. And if you want to participate but don't want to Zoom, that's totally fine. Just share. We're just sharing our stuff. And I'll even open up a group on Ravelry if you want to be chatty. So those are your options, and let me know. Let me know how it goes. Other than that, I think we have covered so much today. I've actually tried to keep it a little bit shorter because I could go on and on and on about some things, but we'll save it for the future. And if we're not yet knitting besties, make sure to hit that subscribe button below and give this video a like. It tells YouTube that other fiber enthusiasts like yourself enjoy this type of content. Until 2 weeks from now, make some yarn magic.